For 3 years, we heard it every day, that Joe Biden and Donald Trump were the oldest candidates ever. Republicans made the excuse that Biden was 3 years older, and the media gave it a pass. Their breathless coverage of Biden's age, while ignoring Trump's decline, pretended Trump wasn't slurring his speech.
We want a landslide that's
confusing people,
including Obama. I'll tell you what.
Telling weird, wandering stories.
By the way, a lot of shark attacks lately. The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Now, there's no excuse. There's only one person in this race now with mental problems. One person with memory problems. One person feeling the icy hand of death from old age creeping closer. One person who knows the clock is running out. And that's old Donald Trump. Weak, impotent, forgetful, mentally declining, fast. He'd be 83 by the end of his term. If he's senile now, he'll be dangerous by then.
I'm enjoying the moment. Former guy pushed off the headlines. Yeah, no wonder. Because let's face it, he's been dominating by saying ridiculous, crazy stuff for how long? Now, it's just finally people are beginning to see through it. It's taken a while. And you just realise, those who work in cable news, their words don't actually mean anything. I've said all along, their words aren't going to pay the bills. Yeah, the fear-mongering, the lies. Nope, nope, nope. The other thing I will say as well, all of the downers, always looking for bad news, just to try and pick a check off. And some of these are so-called Democrats, like James Carville. He's getting put in his place. There was just a real sense of optimism. Not suddenly say the world is going to change, but there was a sense of optimism that at last the fight back has started against those who've been doing nothing but BS.
I want to ask you about some of the attacks we have heard, and John got this too, over and over again, the word sort of San Francisco liberal, radical liberal, those things have been put out there over and over again. But there's this other strain of condemnation of Kamala Harris, and it's always DEI, DEI, DEI. We're hearing that over and over and over again. But one Fox Business show host went further in his comments and then doubled down on them on Twitter. Let me let people hear what he had to say about Kamala Harris and what he thought of her.
Yeah, and then there's the DEI press secretary telling you that the DEI vice president is the future of the party here. And so the future looks kind of dim for the Democrats here, but this is no shocker either. Kamala Harris, she's the original Haktua girl. That's the way she got where she is. And the party's going downhill if it's in her hands.
That was tough. That was harsh.
She's saying that was tough, that was Alec Lace, that was harsh, because it is a reference to a certain sexual action, saying that that's what she is originally known for. What the hell?
It's disgusting, it's despicable, it's sexist, it's completely counterproductive, by the way. We've seen this leaning into racist attacks, misogynistic attacks against her. That does not work with the very suburban swing voters that you need to win an election. And I credit Mike Johnson and others who've said this is not where we need to go. But what matters is this where Donald Trump tells his followers not to go? What is his message he's going to lean into? It is totally fair game to critique her on border security, supporting the Green New Deal early in her career. There are plenty of liberal policies you can contrast. This is just beyond the pale, and it's much more than just tough. It's disgusting, and you shouldn't be on air.
It's interesting. For November. Now, this kind of contradicts claims from House Speaker Mike Johnson, who said there would be legal impediments.
In some of the states, there are impediments to just switching someone out like that. 14 million people went through the process and chose this nominee, Joe Biden. Now a handful of people have gotten together and decided he's no longer suitable. That's not how this system works. They are violating democratic principles. And I think that's a real problem, and I think there'll be a lot said about that in the days ahead.
So CNN's chief legal affairs correspondent Paula Reed is with us. What does House Speaker Mike Johnson need to know this morning, Paula?
Well, his office did not respond to us when we reached out and asked exactly what he was referring to when he was speaking about these possible impediments. So CNN, my colleagues Daniel Dale, Casey Gannon, and we reached out to all 50 states and asked election officials in those states if there is any potential problem with Harris appearing on the ballot. Now, 48 other 50 states did respond to us and said, no, there is no issue. Let's take a listen to what some of these states said to us and how they explained why there isn't really a, quote, impediment here. For example, in Georgia, they said Biden dropping out will not impact Georgia's ballots. As the Democrats haven't had a convention, there is no nominee to replace. Then, for example, in West Virginia, The candidate that will appear on West Virginia's ballot in November will be the candidate that is nominated by the DNC. Presuming that is Kamala Harris, then there will be no issues. Now, 2 states did not respond, Florida and Montana, but experts say there's no indication there would be an issue there. A reading of their rules also gives no indication that there would be any litigation. And I want to emphasize that this includes states that are considered swing states that had the closest margins in the last election, like Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Michigan, and Nevada, all indicating that there is no issue with Harris appearing on the ballot as long as she is the one who is nominated at the convention. But of course, this doesn't mean that they won't file lawsuits, because there is a potential political advantage to be gained by merely filing a lawsuit. That helps to sow chaos and confusion. You can even fundraise off of a lawsuit, even if you are not going to ultimately win. So at this point, we know that Trump allies certainly have discussed the potential legal implications of switching to Harris. But at this point, it's unclear if there'll be challenges. But it appears pretty clear, John, from our reporting, that on this issue, they would not be successful.
Paul Reed, great to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
Campaign is getting ready. They're coming at us, and they're going to keep coming. And this kind of giddy elation is not going to be very helpful much longer, because that's not what we're going to be faced with. And I think the vice president, put it in athletic terms, needs a really good cut man in a corner, because she's getting ready to get cut. There is no doubt that the polling has gotten better. And it's, it's kind of 45-45. And there's no doubt it's gotten 2, 3, maybe, touch more somewhere in some places. But it's still the same country, all right? Might be a different mood. And all I'm saying is, good, bang your helmets against the locker. That's fine. But you still, when you go out there, you're facing Alabama. And just get ready, because these Republicans, you're right, they got caught off guard. But they're going to get their sea legs, and we're having to get a whole campaign started and stuff. And all I'm doing is saying, watch out, people. Don't get too far out there. If we don't win this, all this good feeling is going to evaporate and be all for naught.
That, of course, is longtime Democratic strategist James Carville, with some strong warnings to Democrats to temper their excitement about President Biden dropping out of the race and Vice President Kamala Harris surging forward as the clear frontrunner for the nomination. And he says Democrats should prepare for a bloody fight from Republicans. Welcome back to Morning Joe. It is Friday, July 26th, just after 7 a.m. here on the East Coast. I'm Jonathan Lemire, holding down the fort for Joe, Mika, and Willie, our man in Paris. Jen Palmieri, Michael Steele, Simone Sanders-Townsend, and Eugene Robinson still with us. Jen Palmieri, Carville said, as only Carville can say, what I have definitely heard from Democrats in recent days. Like, this is no doubt, it's a new race. There's a huge burst of enthusiasm. Hey, but take it easy here. There is a lot of time and a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, well, I don't understand why James has to be such a Debbie Downer. I don't understand why we need to step on our enthusiasm. Seriously, Democrats are enthusiastic. They're excited. They're excited to the ticket. They're excited to have an answer to the question about who's the best person to take on Donald Trump. And I don't think anybody is unaware of how nasty the Republicans can get, in that it's a difficult race. The vice president has seen a big jump in polling, right? That's sort of what's hard is the last 2 to 3 percentage points, right? That's what the whole game is about. But we've had a really great week, and her numbers improving. And I think that it's true, though, that the Republicans really are caught off guard. They don't quite know how to attack her, or what her ticket's going to end up being. And I think having only 100 days I agree with Michael Steele. Shorter campaigns can be better. It's particularly hard with a woman candidate to get elected in this country, right? We've seen that before. When it's happened in other times, in other countries, it's happened in this sort of circumstances. It's where the nominee has not gone through a big, long, brutal primary process like happens in the U.S., but like in a parliamentary system where where the person is presented as the leader of the party to the country as a winner, right? That's what we have here. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see everyone uniting behind her. There's not second guessing about what kind of candidate is best. It's like, she's our candidate. She's the most experienced person out there. She's the best prepared. She's way more prepared than Donald Trump or J.D. Vance. And we're going to go forward. Sure, it's going to get ugly. We know what we know what they do, but our team is energized and ready to fight. And you have a really prepared candidate to take this on as well. And that's the best position the Democrats can be in. And so far, a week into this, the Republicans have not figured out a way to go after her. But they will be prepared when they do. And also, she's going to have millions and millions and millions of Americans that are fired up to help her, have her back when it comes to money, when it comes to voting, when it comes to GOTV. And the campaign right now needs to lock in all of that support. There's so much enthusiasm. Lock those people in, give them assignments, get them ready to go, tell them this is going to be hard.
What's up, Philly? Yeah! Man, it is so good to be in a House of Labor, and when my speaker was talking before, I thought she was taking us all to church as well. That's a hell of a combination. Let me begin by talking about our 100th mayor. Herself a history maker.
Yes.
A friend for 20 years in public service. Someone who is indeed walking the walk, making our city safer, making sure our city is cleaner. But most important, making sure every single person in this city feels heard, feels respected, feels looked after. Madam Mayor, I'm grateful for your leadership, and I'm even more grateful for your friendship. Thank you. It feels real good to be with Ryan Boyer and all these great leaders in organized labor. I have seen the power of this organization, the power to put people to work, the power to put food on the table for families who are looking out for their children, the power to be able to think about a tomorrow that includes all of you in the progress of this nation. The power to rebuild a road in just 12 days. And the power to see to it that our nation moves forward in this election with Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. I know that power because I've had the opportunity to work with you, to serve alongside you in this journey of public service. This has been a partnership to put people to work. Today in Pennsylvania, we just graduated more than 7,000 apprentices for the first time ever in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. For the first time ever, we've got a legal directive signed by the governor of this Commonwealth to say that public works projects should be PLA driven in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We have seen in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that when our union brothers and sisters do well, our economy grows, our families get stronger, and our Commonwealth becomes more prosperous. We've stood together as we have made progress. We've also stood together when we've tried to root out evil amongst us. It was all of you who stood with me when we took on one of the most powerful, one of the most skilled, one of the most wealthy contractors in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and brought the largest Davis-Bacon prevailing wage theft case in the history of the United States, and we held them criminally accountable here in the Commonwealth. We showed through that if you screw over a Pennsylvania worker, you're going to be held to account. We also showed through that work that we value the Pennsylvanians who may not sit in a boardroom, but go do that hard backbreaking work on our roads in the heat of summer and in the cold of winter. We showed what we value. We showed that every single day, what you preach in your union halls is what we live in the halls of government. And that is standing up for the rights of workers, standing up for the people who are making us more prosperous. You know who else has done that work throughout her lifetime? Yeah. Who's dedicated herself to doing that work? Another friend of mine over the last 20 years, the Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris. She is a fearless leader. She has always put people before the powerful, whether in a courtroom, in the halls of power, or in the office of the Vice President. She has never forgotten the people that got her there. She has never forgotten where she came from. She never forgot her roots. Think about it. Someone who has rose through the ranks. Someone who has achieved all that she's achieved. She's never turned her back on the people that the mayor and the speaker and all of the union leaders here are fighting for every day. And thanks to her and President Biden, more people went to work in America today than ever before. Thanks to her and President Biden, we are poised to be here in Pennsylvania, the national leader when it comes to clean energy for the future of our country, right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I said it, Jimmy Snell. Thanks to her, when tragedy struck our region, when that road on I-95 collapsed, my first call was with Ryan Boyer to say, can we muster the soldiers to get out there and get people moving again? And the second call came from the Biden-Harris administration. And they simply said, what do you need? They delivered everything they need. They took a city that was down on its knees and lifted us back up. And that's the same thing Kamala Harris is going to do for this country. Again, you could not have a clear contrast in this race. You could not have a clear contrast between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And let me tell you something, he's pretty afraid. Y'all see, he's backing out of the debate now. He's afraid to stand toe-to-toe with our vice president. And you know why that is? It's not just because she's a skilled debater. It's not just because she's got the right positions on the issues that matter most to the good people of Pennsylvania and this country. It's because he can't run away from his record any longer. Think about it. 4 years as president. Guy stacks the NLRB with a bunch of corporate folks who have tried to rip away your rights every step of the way. We can't go back to that, and he can't defend that. Think about this. This guy went to the Supreme Court of the United States, a place where me and my office have been to stand up for people's fundamental rights and freedom. A place where Kamala Harris, as Attorney General in California, went to stand up to expand the freedoms for the good people of this nation. Donald Trump went to court, the Supreme Court, and asked to make this nation a right-to-work nation. Let me be clear, I'll never let Pennsylvania be a right-to-work state, and Kamala Harris will never let this nation be a right-to-work nation. And it's not just in these big halls of power that Donald Trump has tried to screw over our nation. In our restaurants and bars, when I served as your Attorney General, Donald Trump as president literally tried to put a federal rule in place to make it so when you tip your waiter, your waitress, your bartender, that they wouldn't get to keep those tips. That instead it would go to the back of the house, it would go to the restaurant owner. This is who this man is, screwing over the little guy for the corporate interest. The good news is we went to court, we beat him, and our waiters and our waitresses, our bartenders, they were protected. You see, whether as president where he worked directly against working folks, or whether as a businessman who quite literally screwed over the workers who were building our high-rises, our casinos, and so many other things that dot the East Coast of the United States. He has shown us who he is, right? When folks tell you who they are, Madam Mayor, believe him the first time. Believe him the first time. We don't need to give him the keys to the White House so that he can continue to rip away our freedoms, so he can continue to attack this great nation. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little sick and tired of this guy going on TV every day, shit-talking America. Think about this for a minute. We are producing more energy in America than ever before, giving us more freedom, more prosperity than ever before. Our economy is growing faster than any other economy in the world, and we are outcompeting China for the first time in generations, giving us more freedom and more opportunity. And thanks to union brothers and sisters like you and many more across this country, this morning in America, when folks woke up, more people went to a job than ever before, thanks to the Biden-Harris administration. And so I got a message to Donald Trump. Stop shit-talking America. Stop attacking our workers. Stop limiting our freedom and start standing up for righteousness, for goodness, and for the American people. The person who is best equipped to do that in this election, the person we are going to unite behind in order to accomplish that, is the Vice President of the United States, our next president, our 47th president, a dear friend of mine, a dear friend of Philadelphia's, Kamala Harris. Are y'all with me? Let's get this done, Philly. Thank you all.